This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, plus Nate.
Do we
And
remember how
only
to do this?
do what?
The show? Like, I forget how this is done. Ka-chow?
That would be an Alex thing, but
Oh, my
Alex,
fault. My bad.
Alex is missing. Alex has told us that he was outside doing yard work,
And
and
libations.
yes, and the libations may be hindering Alex's ability to participate. We're not sure. Alex may pop in throughout the episode at some point. More to come of that. It's probably for the best that Alex just randomly shows up.
Yeah, yeah.
But we do have three of the stalwarts, including myself, Muff, the guider of this rudderless ship, the Ohio Homer, the Ohio Degenerate, the capo of the Midwest Crack House,
Yeah, still a fan. Still plugging along. Rocking both the hat and the shirt for Seattle.
and they're in the playoffs.
They are not, and it's okay. It's okay.
All right. Jim.
Hello.
And last, certainly not least, hailing from the Harper household, the guru of officiating and currently in the midst of baseball, Nate.
Yeah, let's get a break from baseball for a while. Where's the damn rain?
Yeah.
I think in this area we had record April rain numbers, precipitation numbers.
Well, the
So
past 6 days, Nate has been out at some capacity doing a baseball game and then does yard work like Alex did today. So Nate is tired.
Nate, I've been seeing a lot of TikToks
Mm-hmm.
of young kids acting a fool and umpires throwing them out, then having to throw out the fans. I feel like there's an uptick in wild ass behavior in the youth baseball. Are you seeing that in your world?
There's a reason why I don't do youth baseball, and that's that.
So what do
The
you
young,
see? What do you
so the
umpire?
I umpire high school and I would say high school and above, but it's really high school and below. So the lowest level I've done so far this year has been high school JV.
And that's organized through the schools, right?
Yeah, so basically freshman and sophomore.
Gotcha. So there's no AU, no
No, I mean they just recently started now where they're trying to institute middle school baseball. Um, but I don't think there's a lot of local high school umpires that want to do it because a lot of them are playing on Sundays, and that's really our only day off. So, and like you said, just youth baseball in general, it's like I don't know if every parent just thinks that their kid is going to get a Division I scholarship, or they just watch everything on TV. And it's like it's crazy. I mean, I was at a game yesterday, and it was a triple header game. I had game three, and I got there early to watch the end of game two. And the one umpire, I mean, was I obviously know him, makes a call on a batter hit by a pitch, and he goes, "No, no, no, you stay here. You lean into that one." And of course, what do you hear from the crowd? "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me! Who are you, Angel Hernandez?"
yeah,
well, that was my next question. Like, are you Angel Hernandez?
It depends on who you ask.
Like, what is the general take from the fandom on Nate's umpiring?
Depends on where I'm at, what game it is, and if really it's not like the whole game, it's just like a certain call. It's like the same thing in football. Like you call a penalty, half the crowd loves you, half the crowd hates you. It's the same thing in baseball. You call a strike or you call an out that's close. I mean, you're gonna have teams that are like, "Oh yeah, you got that right," and other teams are like, "Oh my God!" Like that happened to me yesterday. I'm working the bases, so I'm behind first base. There's no runners on, and there's a hard ground ball hit right at me, goes over the bag, and then goes in the foul. But since it cleared the base in fair territory, it's a fair ball. So I immediately point fair and trail the runner into second in case there's a play there. And of course, everybody up sitting behind home plate, "Oh my God, that landed in foul. How do you call that fair?"
Gotcha. But you're not catching it all the time, like every game.
No, I mean, there's some places where you go and you just know, okay, today is going to be one of those days. Like, I'm not going to name the school, but there's one school that unless I have to go or no one else will go, I will not.
Gotcha. That's fair. All right.
It's got to be in Ohio.
Ah, muffin already.
Today is Monday, April 29th, and as anybody who's a loyal listener knows, we've been on an extended break. We hope all the loyal listeners will get back on board, or they're still on board, and maybe we'll pick up some new listeners. Who knows? But since we have missed a lot, we're going to focus on the big news and the big happenings that have happened
Well,
over
Muff,
the past month-ish.
are we gonna? Is this like a hey, we're here, oh, we're gone again? Are we gonna make this consistency? Or are we just flying by the seat of our
These
pants?
are great conversations to have in the middle of the show, not prior
Yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
show
like the
when we
fans
talk
want to
for 15
know.
or 20 minutes.
Shouldn't the fans like get
I don't know,
an
Jim. What are we
idea?
going to do? You tell
They
me.
should stay tuned and find out.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, so
in
if
the
I don't
show.
make the decision, nobody wants to make the decision. Jim, what are we going to do?
You are the guide to the rudderless ship. That's your title, bro.
Every once in a while, you got to give the inmates an opportunity, Jim.
I don't think that's smart, and I don't think you've ever thought that was smart.
Sometimes you just want to know.
All right, let's
So
carry on.
we're going to get into last week's NFL draft, which is also going to include an update on Jim's fandom, which has been up for sale, up for grabs, and the draft may have solidified that fandom.
We're getting closer.
All right. Also within the NFL, Guardian caps are now permissible during NFL games, not just in practice,
That will hurt my fandom
with some polarizing opinions
very
on
much
that
so.
topic. We're going to look back at the WNBA draft as well as the college basketball championships. And
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
that's something we have since we've been gone, and do a quick look into the current NBA and NHL playoffs, which have all still within their first rounds.
All right.
As always, you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, and YouTube at Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and the Twitter. Get in there, see what's going on. Everything's been on a hiatus, so there hasn't been a lot of chatter in any of the socials, but still get in there and give us some love when you can.
We still exist.
It's still there. First, this week, let's get into the NFL draft. So we're just going to look through the top 10 picks and look through some of our team's picks, which our teams now just consist of the Steelers and Bucks, since
For now. Yeah.
Jim does not have any official team. But maybe he can break down maybe some teams he's interested in after this fandom situation. But before we get into that, some notes on this year's draft. It was the highest attended draft being in Detroit, which I think showcases that the draft going on the road has been a positive for the NFL. Also,
Yeah, they said that there were hundreds of people there like 2 hours before the draft even started.
It's Detroit. What the fuck else do they have to do?
it was cold-ish.
It's Detroit.
What do you define as cold-ish?
It was cold enough that the McAfee show that was outside was like, "Hey, it's cold," and Pat McAfee is never cold.
Yeah, I will say that. I agree with your take on that there. That's a good point. Pat's not cold.
So, but it was the highest attended, so I think that's positive for the NFL. The most offensive players selected in the first round ever. We have
All
six
right.
quarterbacks tied most in the first round. 4 in the top 8 was the most quarterbacks taken that early. USC now has the most number 1 overall picks now that Caleb Williams went at number 1 overall this draft.
What?
Yeah.
Number one picks. Number 1 picks. Okay.
I think he's
I
number 1
just wanted
overall.
to hear it.
Number 1 overall.
Yep, gotcha.
Yep. 14 straight offensive players taken in the first round is any on one side of the ball to start out the draft. Actually, I think it may have also been the most ever taken in succession.
Ohio State has the most first round picks. You're just gonna leave that out because you're Muff.
That was not a new record. I found new records. That may have been an existing record that hadn't changed this year.
Just put it out there, Muff.
Ever?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Your fact checking is not fact checking right now, Jim.
I'll check it right now, but I'm almost 100 on that.
All right. So, quick recap for those that didn't stay up or do any of the checking on this. Number one overall was the Bears taking Caleb Williams. Obviously,
Yes, most all-time first round.
okay. Well, that didn't change after this year. It was still the same.
So it was Ohio State last year too.
Well, they only had one this year, Jim. Correct?
Fair point.
Can't imagine that helped the cause if they were close to anybody.
That's fair.
Um, with Caleb Williams number one overall, the number one pick for like the past 2 years, right? It finally came to fruition as the Bears take their quarterback of the future with the number one overall pick. Number two, the Commanders took Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU, leading up to the draft. This was, I think, the most anticipated where was this going to go, but as the draft got closer, I think everyone was kind of relegated to the fact that the Commanders were most likely going to be taking Jaden Daniels. Is that how we all felt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
RG3 2.0.
Bingo. Hopefully a longer career than RG3. At number three, the Patriots hold on to their pick and take Drake May from North Carolina.
Good pick. Good pick. Solid pick.
Why, Jim?
I just like the pick. I have a good feeling about Drake May. Very happy with this pick.
Probably of the quarterbacks, maybe the most controversial at that line. There are concerns about pretty much Drake May and Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams is the only like surefire on that way as far as the quarterbacks. But
they literally call Caleb Williams NFL Prince.
Bingo.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of concern about NFL Prince.
I don't know if there are concerns on the field just yet.
There are concerns off the field.
What say are those concerns, Jim?
There are NFL scouts that are worried that his attitude and his softness is as far as I'll go. How will he handle adversity?
So, are you talking about the fact that he paints his fingernails, Jim?
I'm talking about when he cried in his mother's arms after a loss.
Okay.
The fingernails don't bother me one bit.
Well, that's part of the softness that people are saying off the field.
I think it was more him crying that people are talking about.
Okay. At number four, the Cardinals get wide receiver number one off the board in this year's draft with Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State.
One of my happier picks in the draft. Not because of like, oh yay, Marvin Harrison. The Cardinals need him. It was thank God the Chargers didn't pick him there. We're very happy.
For your fandom situation.
My fandom situation.
Well, I also saw something on Harrison. They said he's like one of the only like big name rookies that hasn't signed whatever NFL player.
Yeah, he didn't sign the player agreement thing.
As of right now, if they were to release Madden 25, he's not in it.
He's not in it. Nope.
And they can't even sell his jersey.
Correct.
What the hell's up with that?
He signed a deal with New Balance as well. Like he didn't sign a deal with Nike, he signed a deal with New Balance cleats. He's an odd duck too. I know that Caleb gets a lot of Prince vibes, but I would say old Marv has them same vibes. The question of whether he had the dog in him also came up the day before the draft. I'm not gonna be biased here. The same questions arise.
The Chargers, Jim's old team, at number five, take Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame.
What a Harbaugh pick!
This was a Harbaugh draft.
Not
just this pick.
He set a tone, didn't he?
Oh, how about that guy getting up out of the chair? He reminded me of that dude that used to work for the Hall of Fame. The dude's freaking huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, Joe Alt had that. I think Joe Alt also had, what was it? One of the moments of the significant other had like this odd, weird, like smile throughout some of the interviews.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first of that kind throughout the draft. Moving on to pick number 6, the Giants take Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. because the Giants have a great history with wide receivers over the past 5 to 10 years.
I mean, he needs a weapon, right?
I
And he
agree.
needs an offensive line, but he also needs a weapon.
He does. He does need somebody to throw the ball to, and they have not been able to fix that puzzle internally yet. So we'll see. We'll see if this does it. They tried to throw money at the problem before. Now they're going to try to throw a draft pick at it.
Yeah.
TBD on if this will work out for Daniel Jones and the Giants. Titans at number 7 take J.C. Latham, tackle out of Alabama.
Not a bad pick.
It's a very Titans pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's interesting, right? We start to do things for the offensive line after we get rid of Derrick Henry. So this is
Thank you.
purely a, oh yeah, we need to protect Will Levis now because we can't run the ball with Derrick Henry 20, 25 times a game.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sure Derrick Henry would have appreciated some beef up of the offensive line when he was there.
Yeah.
We get to number 8, the most controversial pick in the top 10, the first round, and maybe the whole draft, probably the whole draft, as the Falcons take Michael Penix Jr., quarterback from Washington, after signing Kirk Cousins to a $100 million guaranteed contract in the offseason.
I don't see how this is bad. Like, and maybe it's because I'm thinking way outside the box, and also maybe because I'm a cantankerous asshole. But like, you're one blow away from Kurt being gone. You're one injury away from him being just gone. Also, you can bargain Penix out later. Like, if things are going well with Cousins, you can trade Penix away. Like, this is
For
a
what,
nice.
though?
Who cares?
Without
Like,
showing anything proven on the field, not for somebody that's got a first round grade.
I think this is a good insurance policy. I don't think this hurts one bit.
Okay. I understand that take. I disagree with it because let's just take a look here at who he's going to be throwing to. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore. Obviously, have done nothing to light it up over any of their careers just yet. And the offensive line, TBD. Not sure how that's going to go. My concern is you had other wide receivers sitting there on the board to look at to give some level of wide receiver proficiency. You just lost Cordell Patterson. I just think they needed something else to bolster the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. It's like you got a first-year head coach now, and you have the number 8 overall pick in the draft, and you didn't do anything that's really going to improve your team right now. I understand Jim's side that, yeah, you got a nice insurance policy and you believe in Penix to be your guy down the line. But what are you telling your fan base right now? Well, we're just going to get this guy and hope he grooms like Jordan Love did, which it's still kind of early to see how Jordan Love's career is going to look. But it's like, yeah, I know we signed this guy, but we're going to hold on to this guy for the next 3-4 years or whenever Cousins is done or gets hurt again.
I think it's all going to turn around. You guys would be like, wow.
I mean, it could turn
well
out for
played.
a couple years, but if it's me as a fan, it's like, okay, we go get a franchise quarterback. What are we going to do to win right now? Well, we're going to draft his backup.
Yeah. Yeah. After you spend that money, let's go get his backup. Which you have Taylor Heineke sitting there. That's the part that doesn't, like, Taylor Heineke has been a proven legit backup to be able to come in if needed. So that's where it is. There's both sides of this. I think the majority of the people are on the F train here, but there are people that are on Jim's side. It is not the loneliest fields over there for Jim. So next, we have the Bears with their second pick in the top 10, taking a wide receiver to go along with Caleb Williams at the number 1 overall. They take Rome Odunze from Washington, Michael Penix Jr.'s teammate.
Yeah, I really like the additions that the Bears have made. I mean, they're going to be young and they're going to be a little bit experienced, but now they're kind of set up to win. And if I'm Justin Fields, I'm like looking around like, really? You go out and get a Dunze, and I'm trying to think who else they got. They got DJ Moore last year. You go out and get Keenan Allen.
I think the Bears are idiots. And I'm not saying that as an Ohio homer. Like, I think because you could have had 2 top wide receivers. You could have held on to Justin Fields and had 2 top wide receivers.
Do you think they were going to take a number one overall? They were going to take a receiver at number one overall?
You could have.
I think they were going to shop that pick.
And even then, you could have come down and got 2 wide receivers. I mean,
I understand. I think the Bears. This is my thought here is they were looking to get rid of Justin Fields now as opposed to waiting and having to pay him later. So this is like let's retool the team now instead of waiting to see if Justin Fields is going to pan out while we're still spending these high value draft picks on the weapons to provide him. That's my thought.
I want to know what was wrong with Justin Fields at the Bears. We're gonna say that like he couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem like they kind of quit on him, and I don't know why.
Like, and honestly, I think the Steelers are the big winners with Justin Fields if they play that style of football. But I don't know if they will.
We'll get to that because everything in their draft says yes.
I just honestly think that like the Bears are idiots. But also, honestly, it's not the Ohio State homer. It's
That's the Kevin Warren hammer.
I hate Kevin.
Yeah, let's just be real honest. Anybody
Yeah.
that's followed the show knows that anywhere Kevin Warren goes, Jim is
Yeah.
absolutely against any action that he takes.
Yeah. I think it's stupid.
He's not the GM though.
Still think he's stupid.
And to round out the top 10, the Vikings select JJ McCarthy, quarterback from Michigan, who Jim Harbaugh says is the best quarterback in the draft.
I thought there was a storyline out there. I don't know if you guys saw it, where there was a rumor that he was going to trade his quarterback away and get JJ.
Justin Herbert.
That was his thought. And like it was like a 2-day thing.
I mean, I don't think Harbaugh has that much pull right away.
Can you imagine?
It would be a statement. It would be a statement to start his reign as Chargers head coach. That's for sure. If he had that type of pull to make that move happen,
Crazy.
that would have been the most controversial pick of the draft, bar none. If that would have went down,
I wish that
100.
would have happened. I wish that would have happened.
All right. There's the top 10. There's our initial thoughts. Obviously, we won't know anything about this until 4 or 5 years from now, but refer
I
back
don't know.
to
I
Monday,
think
April
What are you talking about?
29th,
The draft grade's
2024.
already out. The draft grades are out. Muff.
I understand that we have some analysis, but we don't know.
I think we'll know. I think the Patriots, and I'll talk more about this. I think you'll know the Patriots' success from this draft
When?
this year.
This year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we knew that Peyton Manning was going to be the best quarterback after 1 year when he had the most interceptions of any
I
rookie quarterback.
wasn't just this draft. Well, it wasn't just the first round. There's some other picks they made. I think that we'll see. We'll see some good stuff. I think the Steelers. I think we'll see a big uptick. I think we'll see. I think the draft for some teams is going to be a huge success. There were some smart moves. That's my opinion.
Let's get into the people that have teams that they follow, that they support right now. We'll start off with the Steelers, which would be me and Alex. So I will do my best to speak for Alex. The Steelers picked up 3 offensive linemen with their first 5 picks of the draft, which were in the first 4 rounds, with their first round pick being Troy Fontenot, offensive tackle out of Washington. Second round, they picked up from West by God, Virginia, Zach Frazier, center, to help fill that void after they got rid of their starting center from last year. In the third round, they had 2 picks. One was Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan, which helps bring a slot receiver, the area that they definitely have been lacking in, anybody to go over the middle and get the ball. Then, and I think one of the more interesting picks in the third round, late in the third round, the Steelers selected the linebacker of the year in college football last year, Peyton Wilson from NC State, who won that award, but fell because of injury concerns, even though he rarely missed any games. But there are concerns about his durability in the NFL. Steelers think that Third offensive lineman, Mason McCormick, guard from South Dakota State, who was touted by the draft experts as just a mean cuss. He's just one of those guys that gets in the middle and just drives people around. Then picked up defensive tackle Logan Lee from Iowa in the 6th round, along with cornerback Ryan Watts from Texas. Thought they may take a cornerback earlier in the draft. That is still an area of need in the Steelers secondary, but overall, I think the Steelers are demonstrating that they are willing to build up the offensive line and not only protect Russ Wilson or Justin Fields, but also make a concerted effort in being able to run the ball, which has not been successful over the past 3, 4, 5 years. So I give the Steelers, we'll say, a B plus.
Do you think Russ Wilson goes the distance, plays all the games? Asking sincerely.
I do not.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, Muff.
I'm not sure. Let's see where the bye week is.
Schedule's not out yet.
That's true. Can't tell you yet. I have a feeling if they have a bye week early in the season, we're looking at week 10-ish. If the bye week is later in the season, probably right before or right after the bye.
Okay.
Nate, how the Bucks do?
So start off, the Bucks got what I thought was their biggest need out of the way in 1st round, picking up Graham Barton, center out of Duke. Didn't hear much about this guy until the draft. I was hearing a lot about this. I can't remember his name. He goes like JPJ, the center out of Oregon, was a guy I heard a lot about them possibly taking, but they really needed to replace Jensen, who went out and retired due to a knee injury. Then they go out and get a edge rusher, Chris Braswell from Alabama, 3rd round. Safety out of Georgia by way of WVU, Tyke Smith. 4th round, another pick that I liked, wide receiver out of Washington, Jalen McMillan, who kind of played kind of like that number 2, number 3 role, depending on how you looked at it, behind Jalen Polk, who went to Jim's Patriots, who seems to be catching on some fandom. 4th round, they take Bucky Irving, running back out of Oregon. Not really sure what the need was there. They've had a couple of running backs that could carry the load behind Rashad White.
Is he a returner? Is that the value made? I mean, I usually when you see a no-name running back or wide receiver, I'm thinking special teams and returner.
Yeah, I mean, it could potentially be. I'm not entirely sure on that one. And then 6th round, they take a guard, Elijah Klein, out of Texas El Paso, to add some depth. And then the 7th round, tight end Devin Culp out of Washington.
They really like those skill positions out of Washington.
Yeah, I mean, Cade Otton really did well for him. He's also a Washington guy, the tight end currently. So, but I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, generally, now that we can say the defunct Pac-12, all of their skill position players came from that now no longer conference.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, they've had some good luck with guys in the Pac-12. I mean, like you said, Rashad White, Arizona State. Cade Otton was a Washington guy. And then, I mean, you have Godwin, who was a Penn State guy, and Evans went to A&M. But we'll have to see. I have to do some more research on the Bucky Irving. I was kind of hoping they get someone that could run a little bit more between the tackles, because Rashad White's not the biggest guy in the world. So I think they need that little bit of physicality there, which I think they're going to be lacking. But getting that Graham Barton early, I think, is really going to help them out.
Good. What grade would you give the Bucks, Nate?
Too early to tell. So I would say either probably like a B or a B minus. I think getting that Graham Barton and Tyke Smith are really going to help. And then we'll have to see about the rest of the guys. I have high hopes for McMillan, just to kind of be like that wide receiver 3s that really never amounted to anything with Russell Gage or Scotty Miller. It was really just a 1-2 punch with Evans and Godwin.
Okay. Hopefully that'll be it. All right, Jim. Let's provide the loyal listeners and any new fans an update on your fandom, how you've been going about this, and are there any finalists?
I think I have it narrowed down to 2 teams. Color scheme is similar. I got to put everything in the old chart, narrow some things down, waiting on some signings to finish up. But I have it down to the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots. Pretty sure.
How close are they?
Ooh, I'm pretty torn. I would say it's how much can I see them on TV right now?
Hmm.
It's a big factor. And then obviously the cheerleaders, another factor that plays in there. And then the Ohio State players. Okay.
Those are the primary.
Those are the big ones right
Those have
now.
the big weight.
Those are the big ones. I saw CJ Stroud and Michael Parsons chopping it up on the Bleacher Report. I love the way that CJ handled Micah. Leaned me very hard towards the Texans. That was a big deal, but Drake May kind of swayed me the other way. So I'm kind of torn now.
Here's what's interesting, and I will be interested to see the objective analysis of this. When did Drake May become somebody that was helping to draw you one way or the other?
I think it was his style at the draft.
Okay.
Totally straight from the hip. I was like, oh, I like that kid. You know? And then like Belichick's reaction to him,
Hmm.
like he didn't totally shit on him.
You're right. You're
I was
right.
like, well, if Belichick's not shitting on this guy, maybe there's something there.
He's got a chance.
Right.
Like Belichick's like, oh, wish I would have been here to make this pick.
Yeah. It was almost like, well,
Like he agreed. Oh yeah, that's who I would have taken too. Good job, guys.
right. So I'm kind of torn.
All right. When is your timeline? When do you expect this to be resolved, Jim?
I plan to have all of my stats entered into the spreadsheet this week and an answer objectively by the end of the week.
Is your objective answer going to be your final answer?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Because to spend all that time coming up with these criteria and then going with your
Yeah.
gut is going to be you're going to get some shit about it.
I can tell you this is what I'll come down to. Okay. It's going to probably be one of these two teams. If the stats say, hey, you were wrong, it's not one of these two teams, I don't know what I'm going to do. I honestly don't. I'll be like, well, shit. Like if the Browns or the Bengals come up, I'm going to be like, well, damn.
You know what's not in your factor, Jim, that you mentioned that I thought definitely would be, given the past, is helmets or alternative uniforms.
I thought about that. But like that's so much work to figure out. Like it's just too much for me. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
There's a lot that have to be resolved.
I thought about adding in a disqualification of are they going to wear those bubblehead helmets? I'm be like, I can't root for that.
It's an individual decision, Jim.
Yeah, any player that I'm gonna pull the old Jerry Jones on this. If you wear a bubble helmet, I'm not a fan.
You un-American?
Yeah, pretty much.
America's team don't wear bubble helmets.
America's team don't wear bubbles.
Speaking of other news in the NFL, the Guardian caps
Dumbest shit ever.
now allowed to be worn during NFL games, not just as part of practice procedures. And also the hip drop tackle has been banned since our last episode as well.
And then next week we'll be adding flags to the uniforms.
Okay. A couple things about the Guardian caps before we go deep in this conversation. NFL Executive Vice President Jeff Miller has previously said that the Guardian caps contributed to a nearly 50% reduction in concussions for the position groups that wore them during the time periods last season or in seasons past. And then recently he came out and said, quote, "We now have 2 years of data showing significant concussion reductions among players who wear Guardian caps during practice, so players will be permitted to wear the cap during games this upcoming season. Additionally, there are new helmets this year that provide as much, if not more, protection than a different helmet model paired with a Guardian cap. These developments represent substantial progress in our efforts to make the game safer for players," end quote. All right, Jim, give us your rant.
I don't really have a rant so much as like I don't agree. Like
what are the words? What are the words that you used in our text message?
I can't remember.
You said that this is soft.
It is soft. Like the sport is dangerous. They knew that when they signed up. We can eliminate it all the way down to a certain extent. I'm cool with helmets that reduce concussions, but I'm not cool is putting bubbles on their heads because it makes you easier to tackle. Like then we're gonna be like, well, you can't tackle by the head, but still, I can still pull you down by the bubble. Like, and then they're gonna be like, well, we've found studies that you blow out your knees, and so now we're gonna put bubbles on your knees, and we found studies that you blow out your elbows. So now we're gonna put bubbles on your elbow, and then they'll just be bubbles. And then it's going to be like the bubble thing you see at hockey games at halftime. It's going to be ridiculous.
One thing that I like about this is, as I recall, and this is my recollection, which can be proven wrong by anybody at any point, at any time now and into the future, a lot of the position groups that we're seeing the largest differences in concussions, especially in practice, were linemen, right? The position groups that are consistently having this contact consistently, like shoulders, upper body contact. While yes, the receivers, the skill position areas have the most, I would say, violent collisions. Those position groups that have the most consistent collisions every game over time are the ones that I think benefited most. So if we're talking about this 50% reduction in concussions, I think a lot of those reductions were in either side of the line, those that are having the collisions
So let's
every
get rid of
play.
the linemen. Let's get rid of the linemen. Let's put robots up there.
Now that would be incredibly soft, Jim.
I mean, eventually that's what we're going to come down to is now we're going to watch robots playing football.
I'll say that or a bunch of 7-on-7.
That would be it right there. But what I'm saying is, if that's those position groups, the Guardian Caps aren't going to give an advantage to a lineman, I wouldn't imagine. It's just going to protect them from having regular concussions in their collisions that they have
It's a very
every
slippery
play.
slope, man. Very slippery slope. We're going to protect them, but not the
Anybody
skill
can wear them,
position.
Jim.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Muff. It's like, so then we're going to wrap them all in bubbles or sliding down the slope. Well, we're only going to have the people that have them the worst are the linemen, so we'll give them the bubbles. Anybody can wear them, but the guys up front have elected to wear them because that's where the concussions happen the most. Well, then the skill players are going to be like, well, wait a minute, we're the ones with the big impact. We're going to wear the bubbles. Then everybody's wearing the bubbles.
Everybody
Let's put
can, Jim.
robots out there.
Everybody's allowed to.
Just put robots out there.
Well, then people can't make money. But the owners can maybe make more money because they don't have to pay people that much.
I'll be watching Rock'em Sock'em robots out there.
All right. Maybe that's the future, Jim. The future
AI,
of football.
man.
How do we feel? How do we feel about
we're
that?
watching football? We'll be watching AI created football at home through our goggles.
And the players will just be paid for their name, image, and likeness in the NFL as well.
Exactly.
How many 99 overall ratings will we have then, Madden?
Right?
How do we feel about the hip drop tackle?
Stupid.
That's going to be the hardest shit to officiate. Because even though you know it's there, it's not one of those. It's like kind of like the whole targeting thing. It's like when you see targeting, everybody knows it's targeting. But the hip drop tackle, you're not going to always know if it's a hip drop tackle unless he lands on the guy's legs and the guy like bends backwards. Like, I don't know. To me, it's like you can see a player like, I'll use Vontaze Burfict for an example. Like, you knew like going across, oh shit, here he comes. He's going to take my fucking head off. It's like not like a hip drop tackle, like, okay, here we go. I'm going to tackle this guy. I'm going to hip drop him.
Yeah, you're just trying to get him down.
Yeah. It's like in the heat of the moment, it's like I'm doing everything in my power to get this dude on the ground. Whereas targeting or whatever, like it's subjective, but it's more or less, okay, am I leaning with my head or not? I think this hip drop tackle is really going to be difficult. And the players have already said that they were against it.
Players Association obviously did not win that battle.
Nope, owners did.
They want to protect their show ponies.
Well, if they put a bubble on their ankle, they'd be fine.
I don't know if a bubble on their legs is going to prevent the breaking of the leg on the hip drop tackle.
Put a bubble on there.
Is there a guardian cat for the leg, Jim, that we can use?
Maybe. Give them time.
Give them time. Well, they barely wear any pads anymore, anyway.
Stupid. It's all stupid.
All right, going from stupid to history in the making, the WNBA draft. The most anticipated WNBA draft of my recollection, unless anybody can think of another one.
No, I think this is pretty.
Yeah.
Who's the girl that plays for the Liberty? Damn it, Muff! You're gonna give me those eyeballs.
I don't know. You brought it up, Jim. Who plays for the
I'm going.
Liberty?
I'm going. Keep talking, Muff.
The most anticipated saw Caitlin Clark go number one, as we all expected, to the Indiana Fever. This draft also included Sabrina Ionescu.
That draft, there was some interest. Not as much interest as this one, but I think that's the one I think of.
Okay.
That is second.
Okay. So Caitlin Clark goes number one, as we all expected. Makes her now $70,000-ish salary. Cameron Brink from Stanford went number two. Camila Cardoso from South Carolina went number three. Ricky Jackson from Tennessee number four. Aaliyah Edwards number six, and the former Bayou Barbie, still to be determined what her new name is going to be. Angel Reese goes number seven.
Windy City Barbie.
They were definitely looking at Chicago-based, as you would expect, nicknames. So, how are we feeling about the WNBA? Or is this going to be momentum that carries into the season, into the Olympics, into the next NCAA basketball season? How are we feeling about women's basketball on the whole right now?
I think it all depends on how they capitalize on it. Like, there should be a marketing guru genius that grabs a hold of this and just pushes it to the freaking hill. Like, and then schedule your games the right way. Like, I get you don't have the TV ads or the TV buys that you could, like the NBA, but put Clark and Reese against each other in the most prime time slots that you have and shove it down people's throats. Put Sabrina against Clark, shove it down our throats. Put Las Vegas, when you have them, treat them like the Spurs or the Lakers. And when they go against Reese or Clark or Sabrina, shove it down our throats and make it a big freaking deal. And then when they go to the Olympics, blast us with all of those stars and have press conferences. And you need a Dana White, you need a hype man or a Conor McGregor that's going to make it all out, and then the momentum will carry you. They won't do that.
They won't do that, or you don't think they're able to do that with these
They won't do
personalities?
that.
Okay, because
They
these
won't do that.
personalities have shown the ability to carry, right? To carry women's basketball, to carry college basketball. So they definitely have the ability to do that. Will the WNBA have the wherewithal to execute?
They will not. Caitlin Clark, if you think about it, that hype machine, she was real good. I'm not taking anything away from her.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we hear it so much? Because it was backed by the mouse. Like, her games were on ESPN, and the mouse backs ESPN. So we heard about it nonstop. The WNBA, not necessarily backed by the mouse.
Well, I do think they do have a large number of games that are going to be nationally televised next year. I think some of them will be on the ESPN network of games. So I want to say it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50 or 60 total games in the WNBA will be nationally televised on various networks. So they are trying, right? At least network television is picking up on the fact that, hey, let's give it a shot, right? At least we're going to put them on. And now it's up to the WNBA and these players to capitalize with the TV ratings themselves.
Every time we swipe up on a TikTok or an Instagram or a Twitter, we should see an ad for a game.
When they start.
When they start. Every time. I mean, hell, the NCAA wrestling tournament, like the WWE was talking about it because they have NIL deals with some of those wrestlers. Like, get some creative ass partnerships. Like, I'm sure NASCAR would love to have a WNBA car. Like, do some out of the box shit.
Yeah. And right here we go. Here's perfect situation. WNBA starts next week, May 3rd. How much have we known about this?
Exactly. No clue.
So And on that opening night, you have the Indiana Fever and Chicago playing. So you have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, along with Camila Cardoso playing night one in prime time. Guess what? Both of those games both start at 8 o'clock. How have we screwed this up?
Right.
Like they screwed
Right.
up night one.
And we should have, every time we swipe, we should be hearing about it.
Yeah, they're not playing each other, but they're both playing on night one, but they're playing at the same time. Right? You could have easily had a 7 to 9 o'clock game Eastern time and just one rolled right into the other.
That's the equivalent of, in their world, and I know that's crazy, but that's the equivalent of LeBron and Steph playing on night one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not going to both have them at 9 o'clock.
Like, come on.
So we'll see. I do think there will be more interest in women's basketball in the Olympics this year, especially with some of those big personalities.
But
So,
again, that's a hype thing. Like,
well, we're not hearing about anybody in the Olympics right now, let alone men or women.
but it won't be a big deal if you don't hype it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a amateur wrestling fan, but they had a whole 2 night thing on ESPN for the trials. You know what I mean? And as I said, WWE talked about it because they had the NIL deals. Like, start hyping your shit. Like, that's all it takes. And some of that's on the players. I'm a hot take for a second. Like,
Well, Caitlin Clark just got an 8-figure shoe deal.
Caitlin Clark, if Pat McAfee wants you on that show, you should be there nonstop.
Well, she
You know
already
what I'm
said when
saying?
she was on there that she goes, "I'm doing a guest every Monday." Pat goes, "Deal."
All the time. All the time. Angel Reese, you know the demographic you reach. Find somebody to speak
She's
to
got
them.
Barstool. She's got Barstool right there. They have their Chicago office.
Boom. You're getting paid $70,000. Fuck them. Go make your own hustle.
Well, I think she already has done that. I think that's already happening.
Go
Was
off.
it she bought a pretty dope vehicle shortly after the draft, and that wasn't because of her salary for the WNBA.
But and I'm ranting. It's been a while since we've had this podcast. I apologize, guys. But like some of this is also the NIL situation. We're not educating anybody but football players on how to build your brand.
I'm not gonna go that far. I think all of those schools have people, those large schools have people that are helping with all of those significant NIL deals. I don't think it's just the football players that get that support.
I think that we would see a lot better job done
You're gonna tell me that Livy Dunn doesn't have somebody helping her build her brand
on
out
a
of
global
LSU?
scale, Muff. On a global
Jim,
scale.
she was
No, no, no.
sports.
I'm saying not just some schools. I'm saying
Okay.
all the schools in general, globally. I think we need to educate more than just football players on how to build your brand. If we're gonna ride this NIL storm, build that brand. We should start a business, Muff.
How about it, buddy? I'm right on board.
All right.
NCAA basketball champions. Gonna say that Connecticut won. They won. They dominated. Dan Hurley is now the man in college basketball and on the men's side as far as team building and consistently be able to toss us out. John Calipari is fired.
Was he fired?
Sure, I'm going to say he was let go. Whatever words we want to use. He's no longer at Kentucky.
I thought he like just went.
I think it was like a mutual agreement kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the
Shows how
words
much I follow, huh?
they said the words, but I think we all knew that he was asked to no longer come back.
Was there a reason in particular, or like the losing?
It's losing.
Yeah, it's the losing in the tournament.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean he's turning out NBA players all the time, but they're not winning the tournament. So that's all Kentucky cares about apparently is that they win the tournament.
Cool.
So, and then South Carolina and Iowa met on the women's side and continued to set records for the viewership and the interest, which led into the WNBA draft. That game did not disappoint at all. South Carolina finished up their undefeated season by besting Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Another very good game. And to move backwards, why was it in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday?
Jesus.
Why can't we at least be prime time? 60
Pissed me
minutes?
off
Is
so
60 minutes a
bad.
problem? Like, we worried about them taking away from 60 Minutes?
Made me so mad.
The Equalizer?
Ugh.
When is the NCAA going to get this right for women's basketball?
Never.
Probably never. But right, still got into both tournaments. The women's was again setting all of those records. Any other thoughts on the basketball championships?
Do we have our winners from our tournament?
We do, we do.
You want me to move on while you look that up?
Tim won the men's side. Loyal listener Tim, fellow degenerate Tim. So he is going to get a hat and a tumbler, courtesy of Harper and Company.
Harper and Company.
And the women's side was won by somebody that reached out to us on Facebook
I know.
afterwards because we had no idea, would have had no idea who it was. And
Do we know them?
no, I do not know them.
We don't know you, but thanks for listening.
We appreciate you as I try to find who you are. But today I was able to pick up the tumblers so that these can go out in the mail early this week. So those that have been waiting, I apologize. Going out in the mail this week, and the women's winner was Bruce Dawson.
We don't know who Bruce is?
Bruce lives in New Jersey, Jim.
Go, Bruce.
So at the very least, we reached New Jersey with our bracket challenge on the women's side.
I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe he's a Rutgers fan. God, I hope he's a Rutgers fan.
You can only hope, Jim. You can
God.
only hope.
Bruce, please message us if you're a Rutgers fan.
Please let us know. All right, getting into some last bits here. We'll go to the NBA. The Nuggets are up 3-1 on the Lakers and LeBron. LeBron's doing what he can, but it's looking bleak for the Lakers. And even though LeBron is putting up unreal numbers for his age and the number of years he's been in the league, the Jokic man is just too much from the guy that likes to ride those horses in the offseason.
Is it time for LeBron to close up shop?
I'm not gonna say it's time for him to close up shop when he's putting up 20 plus points a game and filling out the stat sheet.
Well, didn't LeBron say too he wants to play one season with Bronny?
Yeah, that is something that's going on as well. So, but I mean, he's still doing it. That's what's tough, is to say, why are we going to tell him to go away if he's still a pillar of a team? Maybe not throughout the whole season, okay, because he can't play at that level in a full season, but he's still able to pour it on the playoffs. So. In other series, not going to go over all of them. Minnesota's up 3-0 on the Suns, which to me begs the question of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, put them together, expected great things, and the series may be over by the time you listen to this on Monday, April 29th, because they play tonight after we're done recording. To be determined, but Ant Edwards is doing his thing. So if the Suns go down in this series in the opening round, do we think Kevin Durant's going to jump ship and go somewhere else again?
Where was he going to go this time?
I just throw darts at the board, Nate. I don't know. So yes, no.
I don't know. I'm not an NBA guy. That's all you.
Just curious what everyone thinks here. Mavs and Clippers are tied at 2 apiece. Luka and Kyrie. I don't think people were expecting that to be so close, but here we are. Other series are obviously happening. There's the high-profile ones we're going to chat about. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been out for the Bucks. They're tied up in a series as well right now. But more to come on the NBA playoffs later, because we do not talk a lot about the professional basketballs. Which brings us to other news. First, Reggie Bush is getting his Heisman back. In fact, he already has it back from the athletic club. Amen. Finally, it has happened.
And he's still going to sue the NCAA for defamation of character. I love this.
I'll second that.
You're going to sue the NCAA or the New York Athletic Club?
NCAA. Because they characterized him as a cheater. So he's chasing after them. He's got his trophy, and he still ain't done. Get him, Reggie. Get him.
Get him, get him, get him. Michael Jordan, Jim?
So I just thought of this, and I wanted to add this. Michael Jordan's owned race team, 23XL, his driver, Tyler Reddick, won Talladega 2 weeks ago, and he was at the track. And let me tell you, if you didn't watch the end of that race where like he's in victory lane and he's carrying the driver's son to his father, it is the most awkward yet sweet moment I've ever seen Michael in. Because he's happy he won. He's out of place because it's a NASCAR race with Michael Jordan, but he's treating this kid like he's family. He's in pit, in victory lane with a bunch of really short white dudes taking pictures. It's just really freaking awesome. Like, it's just a really cool sports moment that you didn't ever think you'd see or need to see, but it's really cool. Also at that race, Eric Jones
Who?
wrecked his car like dead on, smashed it, and you can hear radio of, I don't think I'm okay. I really hurt my back. He gets out of the car. They take him to the infield care center, like, oh yeah, you're okay. He's like, my back's sore. He ends up fracturing his back. And they're like, he's catching all kinds of shit for the treatment. Like, maybe we should have like backboarded his ass out of there.
Right.
But like, it is a really hard smack. So like what he radioed should have been enough to been like, let's get him out of here.
As long as the car's not on fire, let's don't move, buddy. Don't move.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got a spinal fracture from smashing the wall, which begs to like the question: are the cars of tomorrow really that safe? Or do we still need to put more safety enhancements on these cars?
Do we? Do we need to put them in a bubble?
Maybe.
Do we need to be riding bumper cars around the track, Jim?
Maybe.
Do they need bubble helmets?
Are they soft?
That guy's not soft. He got out of the car with a broken back.
But if we put more safety measures in place, does that make NASCAR soft?
No, you're going 200 miles an hour. No. Just make the seat a little softer and you'll be okay.
I don't know if that's what's going to make him okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Other NBA news, we had Jonte Porter get a lifetime ban from the NBA for his activity in the betting world, which included some bets that he had some stake on, as well as him being linked to bets from other people that were capitalizing on his performance or lack thereof. Most of this was in games that he played minimal minutes or was a scratch prior to the game starting. So
Alex isn't here, so it's not as fun.
It's not as fun. I mean, I can take that side, Jim.
I just think that a lifetime ban is not okay. I
it's
agree
not
with
okay.
I don't think it's okay.
Okay.
I agree with a punishment. I agree with maybe a year or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But a lifetime ban is excessive to me.
Yeah. I'm coming from the opinion that I've heard from most other professional athletes on this topic, which is anytime that a player is linked towards betting on games in which they participate, there is an issue with the integrity of the game, and that's the one thing that we cannot have compromised within professional sports. Right?
Do we know for sure, like when we started arguing this at the time,
yeah,
do we know for sure that he was betting on his own games? I thought the story we were told was he was fainting injuries and telling people, hey, I'm not going to play, and other people were betting on said games.
He did have, there was, I think, links to about $20,000 in profits related to bets that he was linked to having placed, I think, through a third party. It was not significant. There were other people that he was tossing information to related to his status for a game, that were winning, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So yes, we'll say that maybe a victimless crime because the only people that were losing were the sports books.
Right.
But he was tied to some level of profit. Again, I think the professional athletes, like, we can't be linked to telling people how to bet, especially if it's inside information.
But he didn't tell people how to bet, and that's my hang
No,
up.
he did. He did.
Well,
I
that
He was telling people before the public knew, before
he
it was
wasn't going to
released,
play.
that he either wasn't going to play or that he was not feeling well. And I think part of it, the bigger issue, I think for me, is he was telling people to bet on his like unders on his prop stats. So like under points, under rebounds, under assists.
Do
Whenever
we
he,
know that, or did he say I
yes,
wasn't going to play?
no, it's both.
Okay.
So I think there were times when he said, I'm not going to play. There's still a stat line out there. If you want to put the under, like, go ahead. There was also times when he was still actively on the roster and intended to play that he told people to bet his unders. And then he either didn't get many minutes because he wasn't playing well, or he went out of the game because he was quote unquote injured. So that would be to me the integrity of the situation more so than anything is, oh yeah, bet my unders. I'm still going to play, but the under's going to hit, wink, wink. And then he would come out of the game. That was linked. I don't know if that makes you feel any differently.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did come out. I think that's the bigger integrity of the game, not the other part. The other one I think is somewhat a victimless crime to a multi-billion-dollar industry.
When I first read the story, it was he was hurt and said, "Hey, I'm hurt," and then somebody went and bet.
Yeah.
It got more involved, and now I'm like, you're an asshole. Yeah, lifetime ban makes sense.
All
Don't
right.
tell Alex.
I mean, we'll find out later if Alex is listening. Um, the Arizona Coyotes are moving to Utah for now? Question mark. Nate, what do you know about this?
From what I know, it's going to be a permanent move. I think they're going to play in the same arena that the Jazz play in.
Correct.
Because it was like a whole sale. Like the guy that owns the Jazz and owns something else in Utah is now going to own the Utah TBDs, as we'll call it.
Yeah.
Let's just
So
be honest that like Arizona shouldn't have a hockey team anyway.
So from what I understand, and this is from listening to two or three different podcasts that have talked around this, is Gary Bettman, the current NHL commissioner, was so set on getting a team in Arizona that that's why it went there. And it may not have been the best market to go into. He willed it to happen. And then when it didn't work out, he kept on trying to say, it's going to work, it's going to work, it's going to work. And then, right, we've come to the point where Arizona doesn't even have a stadium for them to play in. So as I understand it, they are, I don't know the word they use. They haven't called it relocating. They haven't called it, it's weird. Brian Smith, who's the owner of the Jazz and now of this franchise, hasn't really like coined the term correctly of what's happening. But I guess there's still a clause that after like 2 or 3 years, if Arizona raises the funds to get a stadium, there is still something about either them getting a new franchise or this franchise being able to go back.
So it's like the supersonic situation.
I don't remember all of the
if
details of
anything,
it.
I think they would get an expansion franchise there. I don't
Mhm.
think they would send them back after this whole sale of the team and all that stuff. But what I do find interesting is they had asked Smith about, so what's the team going to be? And he said, oh, the fans are going to vote. So apparently, the LLC that is tied to the franchise has trademarked the following 8 names that could potentially be in this bracket: the Utah Ice, Fury, Yetis,
Oh, I like Yetis.
Of course.
Venom, Blizzard, Outlaws, Mammoth, and Hockey Club.
Not the Soakers and not the Quakes.
Nope.
Hmm.
Venom's cool.
Sort of
Yeti's
upsetting.
cool.
Yetis that'd be a cool mascot.
Yeah. I would still stick with Seattle though.
What?
Like my fandom would stay with Seattle.
Oh, as far okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It would not sway.
No.
I mean, Jim, you can't have multiple fandoms up for sale at the same
No.
time. That
Exactly.
just makes you a terrible sports
Yeah.
loyalist, right?
Absolutely.
Sooner or later, you're gonna be like Ohio State. Oh, who's gonna?
Right, exactly. You can't be switching like that.
If you start switching there, then we're gonna have issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, what's going on with Conor McGregor, Jim?
So he is now the part owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting. And the owner came out and was like, "Oh, it's not that big a deal. Dana won't mind." But it leads one to say, like, yes, Connor's coming back here soon to fight, but like, how many fights has old boy got left in him?
As much as the money's there.
That's the
I think
one.
he's setting up for uh retirement.
Now that
That's my
he's
take.
getting more on the ownership side, he's
Yes.
got his liquor brand. He's now becoming part owner. Do
Yes.
you
He's
think he's good? Do you think
expressed
he's gonna get into the UFC in that way at all?
no.
No, no room for
He's
Connor.
expressed desire to fight in the bare knuckle fighting,
Hmm.
but I think he would get dominated.
Yeah, he's gonna fight one of the Paul brothers.
Jesus.
Not if the mic has its way with them.
We've still not talked about that on this show.
Have at it, buddy.
Whatever Paul brother's going to fight Mike Tyson
Jake Paul. Logan Paul's in WWE.
on Netflix.
Correct? Am I right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Uh how do we first off, it's rigged.
What?
It's rigged.
Jim, don't no. This isn't the Wizard of Oz. We cannot have this type of moment on our show.
It's rigged. The rules are literally like, hey, the the gaming commission will then stop at the end of the lower card, come out and say, hey, this is a non-sanctioned fight, and walk the fuck away. And then we'll put on this dog and pony show.
Who's gonna win?
The Paul brother, right? And then we're all gonna be devastated.
And he's gonna get elevated to a new match.
But like if Mike Tyson like loses, wink wink,
Mm.
is that the downfall of American society?
I mean, there's a lot of other things that I think we could link to the downfall of American society
I think
aside
that's
from
it
Mike
though.
Tyson losing.
I think that's the straw
Mike
though.
Tyson losing in a rigged match? No, I don't think that's downfall of American society. If Mike
Like that
Tyson,
we'll accept it, that we are as a society will allow Mike Tyson to be called a loser to a Paul brother.
I don't think Mike Tyson's gonna take any amount of money to lose on purpose.
I think a big fat sack of weed he will.
I don't know. He can probably get that whenever he wants. So
That's fair. That's fair, Nate. I don't know. I think it'll
you
be
think Mike's going to
outrageous.
take a dive or is this going to go the distance?
I
no,
don't
I
even
think
know what the
Mike's gonna try
distance
to go
is.
for the knockout, but it's just gonna be if the Paul brother can keep his head on a swivel long enough.
And what
My-
happens if Mike accidentally knocks him out? Because that's the other thing you got to worry about.
F
Mike, it
around
was
and-
rigged, damn it.
I feel like he needs Deion Sanders' bodyguard to fuck around and find out
Yeah.
shirts.
Oh,
All right, we'll see. We'll see what comes. We'll see what there. When is that? When is that happening?
it's
Is it
July, I think.
okay? We got 2 months of hype still on that. All right. Scotty Scheffler is dominating the golf world. The Masters happened since our last episode, so he won the Masters as well as other tournaments and had very good run that Scotty Scheffler was having with tens of millions of dollars won,
Tens of
um,
millions of dollars.
tens of millions of dollars. Not the norm in the golf world because now we have players like Tiger, Rory, and other mainstays like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth getting a cut of $750 million that is going to the top 36 players as part of the newly created PGA Tour Enterprises, which is part of the partnership with PIF and Live Golf.
Wasn't it called loyalty bonus?
Yes, and I think the rumor is that Tiger's getting 100 million, Rory's getting like 75. People like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth are getting like 20 to 30. And then it's the other 36 players, the other however many players are getting whatever's left over.
Yeah, old Tiger will get 100. Jordan will get 30. Justin will get 30. Roy, well, yeah, like you said, 75. Good for them.
I mean, it's good. Is this blood money?
Probably.
So they
I
did all
think
of that.
golf is dead.
They did all of that to get away from it. I don't think golf is dead. I think golf is in a unique spot right now as far
Dead.
as how people are going to watch it because live golf is still not taken off as far as television coverage.
You had your moment. COVID was your moment. You couldn't capitalize on the son of a
uh,
bitch, and you
code
let it die.
code was the moment for people like you, Jim. I still watch
Yeah,
golf.
yeah, it's dead.
Weren't you watching amateur wrestling?
Yeah, that's always been like
It's always been underground.
underground. Golf though was like this was your moment to shine, and then you lost it.
And last, because of course it's last, the Pirates started off like a freight train. I'm so glad that we were not recording during that time for Alex to get really excited and me to get optimistic and for Nate to think that his boss was really putting a product on the field because now they have started to fall and slide and now have a losing record again.
Yep, 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 yeah.
It didn't, I don't even think it lasted as long as last year, did it, Nate?
No,
I
it
think this
did
was
not.
less
No,
time. Last year
no.
we were still in like June.
Yeah, I think last year it was the same kind of thing where we started off red hot and then all of a sudden just got ice cold. Like the offense is just completely sputtered.
Yep, their bullpen's just a big pile of poop. Bednar is about ready to get shipped away, take him back down to AAA. Aroldis Chapman, who knows what's going on there?
Do you know who's having a moment though?
Shohei's interpreter.
The Guardians. The Guardians are having a moment, and Columbus is popping over it.
Columbus. You
Columbus
mean
is popping.
they're not cheering on the Clippers?
Well, they do that. That's your drinking team, Muff. Calm down. Calm down. That's your free tickets. Go get a hot dog and a beer. But the Guardians having a 19-9. Good things.
Second best record in baseball.
It's crazy. You know it's bad when I start hearing about Guardians baseball.
Do people know players or they just know they're doing well?
The Guardians doing well, Muff. Come on
Okay.
now.
When you start hearing about players, that's when I know.
When I start hearing about players,
That's when I know that people were really invested in the success of the
yeah,
Guardians.
we aren't there yet.
Because I don't know any. That's for sure.
No.
All right. Any other topics for this week, gents?
No.
We
I feel like
hope
that was a successful show, man.
Yeah. We'll hope that we can get some positive news from Alex. Maybe Alex's yard work has been completed.
I
All of
think
the
somebody
beers.
should go check on him.
I think the beers are all lined up in the porch in a nice little pyramid. The Boosh lights were going down quick, going down smooth, and going down in large numbers today for Alex. So if anybody drives through Alex's neighborhood, just marvel at what the lawn looks like now.
Yeah.
As well as the Harper household. They were
Yeah, we're not quite done.
Yeah, they were doing some work.
Hey,
So
I set up some wind chimes today too.
I feel like you did the least labor intensive work of anybody towards the lawn today.
Indeed.
But you did do work. You did do lawn work.
That's right.
So that wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, you can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter at Sports Jim Muff, and on Facebook, on YouTube, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
And as always, make sure that you tell a friend, make a friend, be a friend.